Welcome to Now and happy Friday. I'm so excited to have joining me today on the show Lee Habib, founder and host of Our American Stories. He'll discuss how a speech from 1883 could explain Trump's rise. We'll also talk about Fani Willis's horrible, no good, bad day, and should New York State ban Tide Pods or address the fentanyl crisis? Let's jump into the presidency. Yesterday was Fani Willis's no good, horrible, bad day, and she owned the courtroom. In fact, a lot of the posts on seemed like it was watched by people who were on different planets. Some people said she was combative, lacked the ability to cooperate, and misrepresented people in the legal profession and herself. And then there were other people who said she owned the room and she was the judge as well as the defendant. And she herself even said while she was sitting in that space that she's not on trial. The people she's charged with election interference actually are. So the back and forth between the attorneys got so heated that at one point the judge said, you know what? I'm going to strike your testimony if you don't answer these questions directly. Watch this.
You qualified that with your home in South Fulton.
That's where I lived in 2020.
2020, did he ever visit you at a place that you resided?
Okay. I don't understand. You're going to give me guidance. In 2020, I lived in South Fulton.
Okay.
That's the only place I lived in South Fulton. That's before I had to abandon my home, Judge.
All right.
And at my home in South Fulton, he never came there, okay? So if you don't come someplace, you can't live there.
Ms. Willis, I'm going to have to caution you. This is going to be the first time I have to caution you. We have to listen to the questions as asked. And if this happens again and again, I'm going to have no choice but to strike your testimony. So we need to break this down. Ms. Merchant's question, I believe, was asking whether you lived anywhere other than South Fulton.
I did not live anywhere but South Fulton, Georgia in 2020. That is before I began my prosecution of this case, and it was my plan to only live there.
Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo that you leased from Miss Yurdi?
He visited that condo, yes.
He did.
Yes.
Did he ever spend the night at that condo?
No.
Just visited.
Yeah, but he did visit for sure.
So I'm over here laughing because when I was watching yesterday, and who wasn't watching? Was there anybody in America who didn't stop what they were doing to take a few minutes? And I literally had one of those days where I had meetings stacked up on meetings. I had pre-records. I had things that I was doing for radio. And I was like, in between all of it, I would just pull it up and she would be on there smacking them down. So her avoidance of the answer. So basically she would answer a question with a question, or she would go off into a long explanation of what she had been through, because since she announced that she was prosecuting former President Trump and 19 others or 18 others, she had become a subject of heavy media scrutiny and she's been threatened. And I don't agree with any of that, by the way. I mean, I couldn't disagree with Fani Willis's viewpoint on life anymore. I think her having an extramarital affair with a man who was still married and paying him with taxpayer dollars for the Fulton County, Georgia, taxpayers funding her trips to Belize and everywhere else. I couldn't agree with any of it. I disagree vehemently with her behavior. But that being said, when you're executing your job and people are giving you death threats to the degree that you have to leave your home, you have to move. I don't know. I don't get down like that either. I thought it was wrong when the Supreme Court justices had their homes and neighborhoods protested for months on end, and it's actually against the law in that state for them to have protests in private residential areas. And the police did nothing about it. The U.S. Marshal Service did not do their duty to protect them. So anything that Fani Willis has undergone in that aspect is totally verboten to me. I would never agree with it. That being said, she is executing a political witch hunt on former President Trump and the others that she has charged with quote unquote election interference. And so I can see why they chose her to do it. She is not just a political operator, but she's someone who doesn't care how she comes off to other people. So that kind of looseness with the personal persona, that kind of an attitude where, I don't care what you think about me. I'm going to say whatever I need to say and do whatever I need to do, not only to defend myself, but to enable myself to accomplish my mission. That kind of single-mindedness is actually it's dangerous because it means that there aren't any links she wouldn't go to, even contradicting herself while she's on the stand. And so that's what brought on the contentious exchange that you just watched there. The both lawyers, one set of lawyers, Merchant, as you heard, she's representing Trump's interests, and then the other attorney is representing the people of the state of Georgia on this idea that she is mishandling taxpayer funds in paying this man and having a relationship with him, which is not something that she's supposed to do with people who are her employee. And so I saw her yesterday actually refused to acknowledge that the man she had the affair with was her employee, even though she was the one who chose him to do this work. I also saw her contradict herself in her statement. She would make one statement and then go back and say, "Well, I don't know what continent Belize is on, but yes, we did go to Belize. He never visited me in a cabin in Belize. I don't know what continent that's on." And so these are all ways in which a seasoned attorney can obfuscate without actually breaking any of the rules within the court about how she has to answer. And so the attorneys who were questioning her had to be very careful to, first of all, put a direct question to her, and then second of all, keep her to the answer because she tended to kind of wander off and gather up a lot of other circumstances and previous questions within her answers, basically to throw them off, and then also stay within the bounds of the actual subject matter that they're questioning her on. I wonder what other attorneys, in that space, I'm talking about Georgia attorneys, right? People who are professionals who maybe took the bar with her or are in professional associations with her, or just feel that they are a part of the legal profession and they see her under this heavy scrutiny. I wonder what they think. Does it fall within the lines of Democrats see her as being a hero who is being maligned, and Republican attorneys see her as someone who's executing a witch hunt and is unprofessional? Or is there a mixture of those few? I guess only time will tell. There'll be more, obviously. This isn't over. But wow, she had a bad day. And I there were at times I felt almost sorry for her, but then there were other times where I was enraged. Fani Willis has that effect on us, I think. We're all captivated. We'll be right back.